Rhinoceros are mammals. They are warm-blooded, have hair or fur, give birth to live young, and produce milk to feed their young.
So my normal day starts about 8:30 in the morning. I come in, I check on all these guys, all the rhinos, and basically make sure everyone is where they're supposed to be in the enclosure overnight. And then I come out and I clean the exhibit out here, get the exhibit ready, break up all the old hay, all the old food that's left over from the day before, so that way they have a clean spot to eat their food. Normal food for these guys consists of a coastal hay. The rhinos themselves, we have 10 rhinos to go out and exhibit, along with 63 zebra, and they eat probably about 30 bales of hay every single day. That's a full bale of coastal hay. And then at night, the rhinos, just the rhinos themselves, about 10, 11 rhinos, they get about 6 to 7 bales of hay every single day. And then they get about 10 to 20 pounds of grain per rhino every single day as well. So that equals about 220 pounds of grain for all of our rhinos that we give out. And it's just a commercially produced bulk grain that basically gives them all the vitamins and all the nutrients that they need that they don't get out of the grown coastal hay. We provide fresh water for all of our animals here on safari. It is very important for them to get fresh water because you don't want anything that can grow inside the water, bacteria and algae and stuff like that, for them to drink that. So we do make sure that they do have fresh water every single day. We clean out the water troughs that they get every single day. We usually bleach them about once or twice a week in order to kill all the algae or any type of bacteria or any type of parasites that may happen to grow inside that water. So we make sure we dump it and give them fresh water every single day. One of their favorite enrichments is boxes, and we give them boxes during Christmas a lot. Just like you like getting presents at Christmas, they like getting presents at Christmas. So we'll give them boxes that are full of different treats, different food items usually, some alfalfa, some sweet feed. And you'll see that they'll go over and they'll actually push on it with their horns, and they'll destroy it and kind of open it kind of themselves in order to get the treat that's inside. And they really enjoy doing that. Cleanup after these guys, as you can imagine, is a pretty big job. Their waste manure is actually picked up once a week by a giant backhoe. So we actually have our landscaping crew that comes out and we'll pick it up with a backhoe and put it into the back of a dump truck and then actually creates that into fertilizer.
Okay, so we're here at a facility where we keep our rhinos. The rhinos stay here overnight, and before they come out into the preserve, they come through this chute, and keepers give medicine or training to the rhinos before they come out. And that is about to take place now. What is that we're going to see here, Kim?
So we're going to do some work with a couple of our rhinos. Every year our rhinos go and they get physicals done, so they need either blood to be taken or they're going to need to receive their vaccinations. So we like to train the animals before we do it so that they're all nice and calm and comfortable when we actually do it. And we have a couple different tools that we'll use that you're going to see me using. When we take blood, we use something that looks like this. And when it's the actual day of the blood draw, instead of having a paper clip, which is what I use for training, it's going to be actually a needle. And the same thing, when we give vaccinations, we use a syringe and it'll have a needle in it, but today we use the paper clip as well. And the paper clip just kind of stimulates the training so they get used to feeling the poke. So these are two of the tools we're going to be using today. So we're just going to work with them on desensitizing them or getting them used to the different sensations or feelings they're going to feel during the actual procedure.
Dr. Elizabeth Hammond, who's the senior veterinarian here at Lion Country Safari. And I'd like to ask Dr. Hammond some of the things that she and the other vets do here at Lion Country to keep our animals on good health and display. Dr. Hammond?
Hi. So basically, we do a lot of preventative medicine with our animals. For instance, with the rhinos, we routinely check for parasites, and we'll treat them if necessary. And we also do vaccinations, just like you give shots to your dog or cat at home. And we also actually have all of our rhinos trained for blood draws so that we can do annual health checks on them, and we can do it without anesthesia. Because as you can imagine, it can be kind of scary to anesthetize a 5,000-pound animal. We can anesthetize them if we need to, but we try to limit that if we can.
So you may notice that Lissa is missing a horn, and Dr. Beth is here to explain why that is. Dr. Beth?
All right, so Lissa's a 33-year-old female white rhino, and about a year and a half ago we discovered that she had cancer in her horn. And so after 7 surgical procedures, we've removed most of her horn. And now the biggest thing is we feel like we've gotten the cancer under control, but now we need to she's got an infection, and so we're treating her with antibiotics, and we're training her now so we can take x-rays and make sure that she doesn't have an infection in the underlying bone. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to be practicing and training her so that we can take x-rays without anesthesia, so it's safer for her.
So what she's going to do is she's going to come out and she's going to touch this plate here, which is her target. So all she has to do is touch and hold this, and what we'll use this for is to bring her head all the way out, and we'll do it just like this, and she'll bring her nose over and she'll touch basically her lip area to this plate, and that's going to help her hold in position. So that way when we need to do procedures such as an x-ray to help with her treatment, she's holding in the correct position with all the equipment around her.
Kim's about to release the rhinos, and she's going to explain how she differentiates one rhino from another. Kim, how do you go about doing that?
So when you look at the rhino, you can see that they have 2 horns. They have a primary horn, which is the lower horn, and a secondary horn, which is the one closer to their eye. And you can actually look at the shape of their horn. So if you look at Alice here, you can see she has a very narrow dagger primary horn, and that's one of the really easy characteristics to tell her apart from the other rhinos. So this is Kingazi, and Kingazi's primary horn has 2 notches at the very top, and those are very distinctive for her.
This is Buck, southern white rhinoceros. Buck is a male, and he's been with us since 1972, when he came here as an orphan, and Lion Country gave him a place to live out the rest of his life. The white rhino is one of many endangered species, but they're particularly close to our hearts here at Lion Country because we have such a long history with them. First met Buck in '72 when he came here, and I was working elephants, and he would come over and play with Peter the elephant. Peter was a big bull, and Buck was an up-and-coming young bull, and they used to like to tussle and play, you know, spar with each other all day. Can be pretty rambunctious when an elephant and a rhino play with each other and they knock each other around, but it was all in good fun. Neither one of them got hurt. So Buck and I go way back. The white rhino is different than the other 4 species of rhino in that it's a grass eater. And you see Buck now, he's actually got this big wide mouth down on the ground. And the other name for the white rhino, and the real name, is the wide-mouthed rhino. In Afrikaans, wide mouth is white moond, and the English-speaking people have picked it up as the color white. But you can see Buck's not white. And the other species of rhino in Africa is known as the black. They're not black. They live in an area where the mud is very black, so when they roll in the mud, they get black. But when it rains, rhinos are pretty much all the same color. Because of their grass-eating habits, they have this huge head and these big teeth for grinding up the grass. It's what they do. They eat grass. All the other rhinos are browsers. They have to be able to reach up into the trees and get the leaves and things like that. So because of this large head, they have this huge tendon that holds that head up. You can see it's just a massive hump on his back. That's the tendon and the muscles needed to pick that head up. But one of the problems that they have is that they cannot lift their head higher than their shoulder. And why is that a problem? Well, if you can't pick your nose up higher than your shoulders, it's going to be real difficult to swim and navigate water. So this is the only species of rhino that really doesn't swim. They live in the plains of Africa where that's not that important. They can graze on all the grass they want. Their horn is the source of their problem. They're hunted for the horn. A lot of Oriental people feel that it has mystical powers and can cure cancer and all sorts of silly things, but in reality, it's made up of the same material as your fingernails and your hair. It's called keratin. And it is so similar to a fingernail that if you cut it, it doesn't bleed. It'll actually grow back. And each rhino kind of rubs their horns to a different shape, which is how we identify them as individuals, because they do tend to all look alike. Buck has a particularly significant notch in his second horn, where he rubs it in a special place over there, and that gives him that characteristic look. But he rubs his horn to a nice sharp point there. If he didn't have all this steel and hard stuff and concrete around him, he probably wouldn't rub it so short. In the wild, their horn can be 3 to 4 feet long. It's really sad that we are eliminating this species from the planet because of something as silly as a fingernail. You could sweep up a barbershop floor and chemically it's the same thing. But for some reason it sells on the black market for more than gold, which is really bad for the rhino. Over 1,000 southern white rhinos were poached last year. And there's only 20,000 left. You don't have to be a math genius to figure out how fast they're going to start disappearing if we don't stop this slaughter. And it's senseless. They are, as you can see, a pretty docile, easygoing animal. They haven't been known to be aggressive, but only to protect their young and their territory. Because Buck and I have a long relationship, I know how he feels today. We can stand here, and we have the protection if we want to get behind the rails. The rhino is in the same basic family as the horse. They have one stomach, and they live on grass. They don't chew their cud, but they do walk like a horse too. They have special hearing. He can hear everything I say, whether I'm in front of him or behind him. And they also have a very acute sense of smell. But they don't see very well. Their eyes are very tiny, and where they live in an area with these acacia trees that have thorns that are almost 6 inches long. And because of that, they kind of put their head down and they can plow right through this thorny brush with that plate of armor that they have called their skin. It's over 3 inches thick on the back. Big horn that helps them bust through the trunks of these trees and plants, get a safe place. The cows can create a den inside these heavily brushed areas so that they can have their babies that will be safe from lions. They live in an olfactory world, though. Everything is about smell. They mark their territory with their urine and their feces, and because of that, they're pretty easy to track. Poachers have an easy time finding them. Obviously, they're big animals. We talk about their skin. 20% of their body weight is skin. If he's about 4,000 or 5,000 pounds, that's almost 1,000 pounds of skin. Very protective though, very heavy duty. But they're still susceptible to things like sunburn and insect bites. That's why they roll in the mud. They love to roll in the mud. They love to rub on things. Everything is a scratching post. We call it scratch therapy here. The keepers and staff work with the rhinos every day, put their hands on them, and start scratching so they get used to our contact. That being said, when we have this close rapport, we're in a protected area, we're able to collect blood, we're able to treat minor wounds, and take care of them without having to use any drugs. They're pretty spectacular animals. I don't think there's any question about that. It would be a real shame if they were to disappear from the planet. We need to understand it might just be one species disappearing, but we're all together in this world. We need to care about the future of all the species.
Hello, my name is David Backus, and I'm one of the keepers here at Lion Country Safari. I'd like to talk to you guys about our Bowling for Rhino program. It's part of the American Association of Zookeepers. It's an international or a national organization that are made up of zookeepers from across the country. And Bowling for Rhinos is one of our largest fundraisers. Bowling for Rhinos raises money for rhinos in the wild, conserve the rhinos. It's 5 species of rhino. All 5 are endangered. Some of them are critically endangered with fewer than 30 left in the world. So Bowling for Rhinos is an event that is done nationally, actually, by several different American Association of Zookeepers organizations that are throughout the United States that will put on a Bowling for Rhino fundraiser. Our Bowling for Rhinos event this year is going to be on May 22nd. It's going to be at the Palm Beach Strike Zone right off of Military, and it's going to run from 7 to 9. The cost of admission is going to be $25. That involves bowling, your shoes, and some food and soda as well. So we invite you guys to come out, and donations are always welcome as well. For more information on our Bowling for Rhinos event, please visit our website, www.lioncountrysafari.com.